Oh, hi. I'm just sitting here, regretting being born. Only a short while ago, I made a video rejoicing over the fact that Queer Kid Stuff, the horrible LGBT educational series for kids, was finally getting canceled. I, along with my wonderful subscribers, were thrilled. For the past few days, it seems that I've been happy, content, and full of joy. I'm actually able to look up in the sky and see a rainbow that isn't gay propaganda. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could end the year with some good news. But my hopes and dreams are a lot like a Democrat-run city. Destroyed. It seems we'd only been celebrating for a week until I got word of a horrible new indoctrination campaign for kids. A horrible little thing called Drag Queen Story Hour.
The Heights Library had a special guest for story time.
Oh my goodness. Everyone is dressed so nice. I wish I would have worn a nice costume for y'all.
A visitor who usually performs for an older audience. This program is geared towards kids 10 years old and younger.
But let's turn around and shake your butt. Shake 'em, shake 'em, shake 'em, shake 'em, shake 'em.
Yeah, imagine unironically taking your tiny child not just to see a clown, but the entire circus. What's up everybody, it's Hunter Avalong Schlong here, back with another video. Unfortunately today, I am bringing you some breaking news that is going to hurt worse than stepping on a Lego infused with AIDS. Ow! You may have heard of this before, but what you just witnessed is one of the most controversial events of recent history. An event known as Drag Queen Story Hour. It's when drag queens read stories to children and their parents, usually at a local library. Now, it might not sound all that spooky at its surface, but believe me, there is a disturbing trend among these drag queen story hours that I'll be exposing today. First, let's get a little history surrounding this latest cringe. Started by Michelle T in 2015, Drag Queen Story Hour events began in San Francisco. Is anyone surprised? The goal was to inspire a love of reading while teaching deeper lessons on diversity, self-love, and an appreciation of others. Although it began as scattered events, it's important to note that Drag Queen Story Hour is now a brand, with a website and merchandise. According to the About section, Drag Queen Story Hour is just what it sounds like. Drag queens reading stories to children in libraries, schools, and bookstores. DQSH captures the imagination and play of the gender fluidity of childhood and gives kids glamorous, positive, and unabashedly queer role models. Yeah, this sounds pretty gay. I'm just wondering, who would even bring their kids to this? Oh. Well, we appear to have a visitor. This is my shy little friend, my bigoted little baby, Bigot Baby.
Gaga goo goo. Trans people are icky. Also, vaccines cause autism. Gaga goo goo.
Yeah, Bigot Baby is not only a bigot, but they're also incredibly stupid. Now, I've been thinking how I can stop this baby's bigotry, and I think I finally found a solution. Take them to see a person who looks like a woman, but has a mustache and a lot of chest hair. Thanks, Drag Queen Story Hour. Although what I've described doesn't sound quite that bad, there's no question that an underlying agenda is being pushed on children. I still believe that kids shouldn't be taught about queer issues, or straight issues for that matter, until they reach an appropriate age. Children just aren't mature enough to grasp the gender fluidity of childhood, or understand what the heck a queer role model is, so the whole thing just comes off as silly and unnecessary. Not to mention, trying to push this material on children only makes people more resistant to it. I want people to be accepting of the LGBT community, and there are better ways to achieve these goals without, pardon my pun, dragging the kids into it. Not only is Drag Queen Story Hour pushing a mature agenda, it's also been hijacked by sick and disturbing creeps. These events are doing so much more than just peddling woke talking points to children. These events are exposing kids to all kinds of perversion. In August of this year, a drag queen was caught on camera teaching children how to twerk.
Michael likes to twerk. Now, does anybody in this room know how to twerk? All right, well, it's quite important to the story, so I will just give you a very quick demonstration. All you need to do is you just stand with your feet sort of shoulder width apart, like so. Okay, and I'll show you at the side, so you get a better view that way. And you're crouched down into this sort of position here, so your bum's sticking out. I hope you're taking this all in. And then you just move your bum up and down like that, and that's twerking.
And here I thought the Queer Kid Stuff web series was bad. This is just freaking horrific. I can twerk better than that. I'm sorry, but what parent brings their kids to see something like this? I would rather be a minor on Epstein's Island than continue viewing this crap. But seriously, imagine doing something like this in front of a bunch of kids. It's so inappropriate, and we should all be disturbed by this. I don't really care who's doing it. Teaching kids to twerk at a library at a story hour is gross, inappropriate, and freaking weird. I wish this Miley Cyrus wannabe was as bad as it gets, but my friends, that is nothing compared to the horrors that took place earlier this year. In March, a drag queen by the name Tatiana Malanina was reading to children and participating in this drag queen story hour. Independent journalists later revealed that 32-year-old Tatiana, whose real name is Alberto Garza, was convicted in 2008 for, let's just say, putting his hot dog in a bun, non-consensually. The Houston Library failed to do any background checks on these drag queens, and as a result, this sick creep was able to exploit the story hour. According to Snopes, in September 2009, a jury in the 232nd Criminal Court in Harris County, Texas, found Alberto Garza guilty. This is beyond disturbing, and the library had no choice but to issue an apology.
And breaking news, we have just confirmed that a registered child sex offender has been reading to children at a Houston Public Library as part of its Drag Queen Story Hour.
The Houston Public Library isn't sugarcoating anything. They admit they messed up here and they've apologized. A statement from the Houston Public Library says, in part, we failed to complete a background check as required by our own guidelines. We deeply regret this oversight.
Okay, so this is really gross, this is really bad, everyone has a right to be outraged over this, but I'm sure this is just a one-time mistake, right? Wrong. Only a short while later, another creep was outed at Houston Library. William Travis Dees served as a greeter as children entered the library. According to criminal records uncovered by Houston mass resistance activists, Dees was convicted in 2004 of, let's just say, telling multiple underage people to check out D's nuts. Not only was he jailed, he was listed as a high-risk offender. Now, this does not mean that all drag queens are creeps. Obviously, not even close. But it does mean these lax rules around Drag Queen Story Hour can be exploited by sick people. Not only did these people have a criminal record, it wasn't even discovered by the library, but rather independent investigators. I know you all wish it ended there, but my friends, this train wreck is a lot like Hillary Clinton's list of suicided friends. Never ending. Only a few days ago, yet another drag queen was outed as having a criminal record. The drag queen, who goes by Miss Kitty Litter, has been reading stories to children in a local Austin library over the past year. However, it's now been discovered that in 1996, Miss Kitty Litter was convicted of, let's just say, offering up their own litter box for money. Despite the controversy surrounding these events, neither the right or the left is handling it correctly, which is exactly why I am needed. The voice of reason in the midst of chaos. First of all, the left is shilling hardcore for these Drag Queen Story Hour events and labeling anyone who disagrees as a vitriol homophobe. Although it's literally true that some of the people protesting these events are literally stupid homophobes, you can't paint everyone who opposes these Drag Queen Story Hour events with a sweeping homophobic brush. Even more so, according to an opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal, the author attended a Drag Queen Story Hour and reported that kids were squirming and uncomfortable or just flat out bored. It was also made clear that the event was much more focused on pushing woke politics rather than entertaining the children. It sounds like these events aren't even particularly fun for kids. Sounds like it's much more about pushing mature woke politics on impressionable children rather than entertaining them. Secondly, the right's response to this issue has not been great either. Far too often, the right gets angry just over the fact that a drag queen is reading to kids. The issue here isn't drag queens reading to kids. The issue is the underlying agenda behind these events. For example, if a drag queen was sitting down at a library and reading Green Eggs and Ham to a bunch of kids, who cares? This is no different than if someone dressed up as a furry was reading stories to kids. This issue is not specific to drag queens, and when the right simply demonizes the concept of drag queens reading to kids, they forget about the fact that it's the overarching agenda that's the issue, not drag queens. This is like if Queer Kid Stuff was reading stories to children at a library. I would hope none of us would be upset that a lesbian is reading stories to kids. No, we'd be upset that Queer Kid Stuff is pushing an agenda that children are simply not mature enough to understand. This distinction is actually really important because simply attacking drag queens comes off as bigoted, whereas critiquing the agenda these specific drag queens are pushing is far more productive. I like to remind myself that more pointed criticism leads to better outcomes. This video is really not meant to be a direct attack on Drag Queen Story Hour as a concept. I don't have an issue with kids having queer role models, but it would probably be best if these queer role models weren't also total and complete creeps. Regardless of where you stand on this issue, there is really no question that a mature, woke agenda is being pushed on kids, which is absolutely ridiculous. I would be just as opposed to a bunch of kids learning about Bill Clinton's Wet Willy from a right-leaning teacher. When little Timmy goes outside and sees a rainbow, he should think that it's pretty, not that it's a sign from God that he's gay. Drag Queen Story Hour either needs to be revised and background checks should be conducted on anyone the library invites, or it needs to just stop. It's time we cease this attempt to push propaganda on children and just let kids be kids. I cannot believe I'm about to say this, but Queer Kid Stuff, I miss you. Thank you everyone for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please give this video a like, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you all soon. Peace.